Well, the weather should energize us, but so many questions about how do you motivate and energize the workforce for so many internal and external challenges these days. Dr. Marta Wilson has written a book on that very subject. It's called Energized Enterprise, and she joins us now with some tips and some advice as well. Nice to see you.
Good to see you, Deborah.
So this is so interesting because there's so many financial challenges right now, so many financial pressures on companies, so many cost cuttings, layoffs, so many things that could be a real drag for the workforce. So this is so timely.
Yes, and you're exactly right. And what the premise of this book is about is to help people who are part of any workforce that want to come to a place where people show up and take action to be their best, do great work, and have mission success. And that all comes down to being motivationally masterful. And a lot of leaders don't know how to be motivationally masterful.
I think that's such a great way to describe it, motivationally masterful, because, I mean, obviously everybody wants to work in an environment like that.
Yes.
And bosses want to be that person. So you've also offered some tips in this book on kind of how to create that environment. And you say, I guess one of the first tips is leadership rules, like be a good leader, create a supportive environment. How do you do that?
Well, it comes down to putting people first in terms of your long-term strategy and in daily actions. So creating a supportive environment and an energized environment involves helping people be more open, honest, and direct, and being a role model of that yourself. Maintaining confidentiality, being self-monitoring, and holding up those as examples for people to model after you and to create a culture where people are inspired and engaged and really elevated to have high performance.
Well, you talk a lot about using open, honest, and direct communication, but I think people always wonder, like, how much can you really tell your coworker and how much can you really tell management? So what's acceptable?
Well, it's acceptable to step back and think, would I want to be closed, dishonest, and indirect in this situation? 9 times out of 10, you want to be open, honest, and direct, whether it's with your coworker or with management. And there's also another ground rule that I think is very important to help you decide how open, honest, and direct to be, and that is, am I maintaining a supportive environment as I share this information or feedback with the individual?
I'm curious, how does everything, because so much of our communication now is involved with text, so with email, how much of this should take place that way, or and how much of it should take place this way?
I prefer eye-to-eye, face-to-face contact, but you know, technology has brought us so far. So it's wonderful to be able to use FaceTime, to Skype, to do whatever it takes, the phone, even email, whatever communication method you have to communicate as frequently as possible with the people in your workplace, that's going to help add energy into the work environment. Every kind of communication counts, regardless if it's face-to-face or other.
So much of this really does seem like just common sense, good human interaction. So I'm curious, I mean, when you talk to people and you talk to management directors, how much do you have to convince them to kind of just do the basics to get a good, healthy work environment?
Well, you know, I was speaking at a summit of about 100 executives a couple of weeks ago, and I started out saying this is common sense, but it's also grounded in science, research, and best practices. So if you feel that you have already the most energized workforce you could possibly have, then there's nothing in this book that would be good for you or in my message. But if your workplace needs more energy and the people need higher morale, then using the science of best fit and motivation science and best communication practices are something that every leader should think about putting in their toolkit.
All right, and we ran a story earlier in our health block about how work environments with free snacks, people are happy. I mean, bring the snacks, bring the coffee.
Exactly.
I mean, my point is that it's the little things sometimes that can translate into the big things.
Yes, exactly. The little things like snacks, the little things like encouraging people to take breaks, to walk outside for a few minutes. And what we see is the science is showing us that organizations that do that, they have higher performance.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. Dr. Marta Wilson, you've written a lot of books. I don't know how you turn around and do everything you do, but if people want to find this book, where can they find it?
They can find it on Amazon.com, and they can also visit my website, martawilson.com.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Wilson, for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
All right. Well, they've been helping to strengthen communities in Baltimore County for nearly 2 decades. Coming up, CivicWorks joins us to show how they're helping residents reduce their energy bills. But first, here's a look at last night's winning lottery numbers.